Here to introduce Mayor Ed Lee, please welcome back to the stage John Lignito. John.
Thank you, Steve. It's now my pleasure to introduce our mayor. Edward M. Lee was sworn in on January 8, 2012 as the 43rd mayor of the city and county of San Francisco. Ed Lee is the first Asian American mayor in San Francisco history. Mayor Lee was elected on November 8, 2011 by the people of San Francisco while he was serving as interim mayor, appointed unanimously as the successor mayor by the Board of Supervisors on January 11, 2011. While serving as interim mayor, Mayor Lee championed balancing the budget to keep San Francisco safe, solvent, and successful, reforming city pensions, economic development, job creation, and public safety as his top priorities. Mayor Lee has worked hard to keep the economy and economic recovery on track, create jobs for residents, and everything that supports a thriving economic climate like parks, transit, housing, quality of life in the neighborhoods, and public safety. Mayor Lee's focused on economic development and job creation, taking responsibility for building San Francisco's future, for helping each other and making city government more responsive, efficient, and accountable through innovation and technology. Here to talk about his priorities in the coming months, please welcome our 43rd mayor of the city of San Francisco, Ed Lee.
Thank you very much, John, for that very kind introduction. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank John, I want to thank Wade and Steve and the entire chamber for the invitation to address you this morning. I know I'm the last speaker, so after that tech panel, I'm almost eager to really go back right to work. It's just so much to do, Ron. And Sarah, thank you very much. Katie and George, I very much appreciate that dialogue. As you can tell, when you hear about all that, I could spend hours going through all of the tech companies and what they're trying to do, because ultimately it is about job creation, and I do get excited about that. And it does keep me getting up very early, Sarah, regardless of how I get there, because if I can create one job every day for somebody here in San Francisco, that's going to satisfy me greatly. Well, guess what? There's hundreds and thousands of jobs at stake. And I will continue making this my mantra because I think it's the right thing to do for a great city. I want to also acknowledge the members of the Board of Supervisors here today. They've been announced earlier, and the elected officials, because we all work as a team. It has never been about the mayor, him or herself. If I've learned anything, I've learned that working in concert with the board, making sure that we have clear tones of communication, and making sure that we speak more and more in the language that's important for this city. Language and policies and ideas that create investor confidence in this city. That's what I've been talking about more and more. We've got to have a city that is investment confident, one that doesn't have a doubt, because if your investment is your family, if it's a small business, if it's someone joining another one's business, we've got to have that level of confidence to see things through for you so that your investment is one that is positively welcomed, taken care of, and prosperous. Because that's how we get to the theme of today's breakfast, of prosperity and sharing of that prosperity. Before I begin, I want to take a moment just to thank my good friend John Lignito. John's been at the helm of the chamber for the last year. He has been obviously an important aspect of the work that I've done over the years. As you know, I started at the Human Rights Commission, and then I went to the purchasing, which was the funnest job I ever had. Who could not have fun buying $1 billion of supplies every year? But then, former Mayor Willie Brown gave me the hardest job I ever had, and as Director of Public Works. It's picking up everybody's trash, engaging in conversations with everyone about what was wrong with our streets and making them right. It was in that toughest job I ever had that I found probably lifelong friends, people who care enough about the city that picking up somebody else's trash is nothing when you can work together and dream about how better the city can become. I want to recognize John because he's one of those few people who I can properly engage in trash talk and still talk about the city in a very positive way. Thank you, John, for your wonderful service. When I came to all of you a year ago, San Francisco's unemployment rate was 9.5%, and we just heard a fantastic presentation by JP Morgan and their analysts as to how we've come about in making that change. And at the time, we faced a $380 million budget deficit, and we were struggling about how to meet the increasing costs of our pension and health care obligations. You remember that discussion about our pension? Wow, have we come a long way. It isn't even mentioned anymore, yet it's still prevalent, and so is our health care obligations. Well, a year later, our city, Board of Supervisors, the mayor, the elected officials all have come together with the help of great city department leaders that are also here today, doing everything we can to make sure that we tackle the pension issues and make sure that our budget is balanced. More importantly, we put people back to work. That is the most important thing all of us have joined together in doing. In the last 12 months, guess what we've done? We've created jobs for an additional 17,300 San Franciscans, bringing our unemployment rate down from 9.5 to 7.6%. That's just in 1 year. Thank you for your help on that. 2 weeks ago, in our city controller's report, we got another nice little nudge of good information, more positive news about our city economy. Our revenues became $129 million greater than projected in the first 6 months of the fiscal year, $129 million. That is a wonderful data for San Franciscans because guess what? For quite some years now, it's been deficit, 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 no increase, revenues going down, all the bad news that have been shared year after year with our department heads, and all of you know how wonderfully negative that discussion has always been, and now we see some positive light. Well, I stand before you today, just a year in office and in my first year in the full-term mayor, to say that San Francisco's economic recovery is underway, it is real, and the economic policies and the strategies that we pursued are working, and they're working well. Our city could not do this without the partnerships of many of you who are here today. San Francisco is back on track, but we must stay the course. And what I mean here is that even though our revenues have surged from the economic growth that our tech companies have provided and the traditional companies who have been here for so many years. And by the way, let me do this because I know that I've been known as the tech mayor, and I want to share that with the board and with the elected officials. But I also want to say that one of the reasons that I come here so enthusiastically to the chamber is you've always been here for the city. Your members have been with the city, struggling with us in all these times. We've come to you to help us. You helped us tremendously on a number of things last year. And I want to say thank you to all the traditional members of the chamber as well, whether it's Wells Fargo or PG&E or Recology or just the numerous numbers of sponsors that have been here today and continue to coming here. You have been part of the lifeblood as we welcome in the technology, the clean tech and the biotech. We want to make sure that we are growing a family that's steeped in tradition of people who love this city, who love every neighborhood of it, and who have experienced all the great positive dialogue, but has also been very concerned about negative dialogue and have shared in every aspect that the city has. I want to thank you because I know many of you joined with me some weeks ago when we celebrated the 50 years of Tony Bennett and his wonderful, wonderful song. We have much more to celebrate in the coming years, and I hope you all join the chamber in making sure that we share this prosperity. Having said that, and knowing that our economy is improving, I just want to make sure you know that I'll be at the helm with the board, making sure that we're not tempted to return to spending habits and to short-term choices that got us into trouble in the first place. We have 2-year budgets now. We have a renewed sense of obligation and responsibility, talk about things like our infrastructure, things that allow our tech companies to be successful, or what Sarah talked about. We got to solve some serious transportation issues in this city, and that's why Ed Riskin and I spent our Saturday morning at a technology hackathon, or what we call an unhackathon. We're not trying to create a new application, we're trying to solve some very traditional problems with our taxis and making sure someone can catch a taxi where they need it rather than wait or be frustrated. Another aspect of our transportation issues that we'll continue trying to get solutions to. More than ever, we've got to double down on reform, on innovation, and investment in our future. And that is why we'll continue, Ron, to announce we are the innovation center for the whole world right here in San Francisco. And soon enough, there'll be signage that reflects that in the city, because we have to break with some traditional things that prevented us from announcing that in the most broad way and letting everybody know that this is the center for a lot of great things to happen. We want to keep that innovation strong, keep the dialogue like the panel has been talking about, how to keep Salesforce growing, how to keep Twitter growing here, how to keep all of us engaged as technology helps us solve many of our problems and find solutions that we haven't thought about. Once and for all, we must treat government and our responsibilities as mayors as families do. Find savings where we can, reduce unnecessary spending, and most importantly, invest. Invest in our people and invest in our infrastructure. As said earlier, I'm going to continue talking about jobs. I don't care if I'm called the boringest guy that's got one theme, but again, I will repeat. I come here every single day to the office asking whether or not I've created another job for somebody else. And when you learn about the statistics that Ron and others at SF Cities are sharing with us, if it's jobs for San Franciscans, that's worth getting up early, that's worth sacrificing late night meetings, that's worth giving up weekends, except my golf. We are attracting tech, we're attracting biotech, we're attracting clean tech. We're supporting local manufacturing through SF Made. Wonderful, we are going to be making more things. I've heard this morning fashion is coming back. Technology rolled with fashion is going to be an exciting area that we unleash hopefully very soon. But I also will tell you this too. There are areas that we don't pay attention to, but that are not only stable, increasing, and wonderful when you hear this. But did you know, and I got this from a recent report from our healthcare, our hospital council recently, did you know that our healthcare industry in San Francisco generates economic impact of over $15 billion a year? Our own healthcare industry. 99,000 jobs. That's a huge contribution to our economy, and I don't want them to be silent anymore. Our healthcare needs are important, and we will get that CPMC job done very shortly, Wade. We need to, with our elected officials and our board, continue to reform our payroll tax. Absolutely right. We've got to incentivize business to create those jobs. And while they're doing that, I think the conversation at the board has been very good because we haven't forgotten those that are not skilled as well as others. And we've got to get that employment training center up. We got to invite those that are living in the Tenderloin or mid-market or south of market, the traditional groups that have struggled, and they identified programs in the past, and they called them digital divide. They were part of that divide. They weren't caught up to the level of education and technology that they wanted to be. We've got to help them get that immediate training. We've got to help our returning veterans get those skill sets. People who are in their mid-careers get the skill sets. That's why the employment training is so important. We need stronger training partnerships. We also need private and more public investment in our schools. I'm going to be talking a lot about that, and with the new president of our school board, Norman Yee, and with Hydra Mendoza, and with Carlos and the whole organization at the school board, I'll be talking a lot about how our schools can participate in this employment training and make sure that there are generations of kids who don't lose hope in this city, don't look elsewhere when the best jobs are being created right here. All they have to do is do their part, and when they do their part and complete that job education, the education that they need, will be there for them. I want to say one thing about our infrastructure, something that I want you to remember as you leave today's room. And it is, just want to mention to you something about Hetch Hetchy. You know, there's some dialogue out there that some people are suggesting that we can tear down our Hetch Hetchy Dam and still survive as a city. I just want to let you know that as insane as that is, it is in fact insane. You know, there are going to be some leaders that approach you, approach others in and around the city that suggest that, you know, tearing down the Hetch Hetchy is a good idea, that somehow they'll rope you into some masked discussion about water sustainability issues. But know this, not only do we have the cleanest water, not only have we spent serious amounts of money upgrading seismically the whole system to deliver that clean water, but it is also one of the strongest clean hydroelectric power sources of infrastructure that any city across the country has ever had. And so I want to make sure you know that as this public dialogue begins, and don't get misled on those discussions by people who will connect up something that we do want to have, which is a good sustainability water, but not by tearing down our dam. Finally, I want to end with you on a little discussion about America's Cup. As you know, yesterday we did make that announcement that Pier 30 and 32 are no longer part of it. I think that the public discussion and discourse around the investments that we do need to rebuild the piers, including the very horrible conditions of 3032, had gotten a little steered away from the excitement and the focus, which should be on hosting the 34th America's Cup, one of the greatest sports events that we'll see. And it'll probably be the only international sporting event in all of 2013 in any part of the United States. And it's coming right here to San Francisco. That excites me to no end. It'll be the blend of technology with the boating. It'll be viewed by new technologies to introduce us to generations of new sailors, and using our waterfront and our bay in the right way. I spoke to Larry Ellison directly for a good few moments, and we reiterated our excitement about the race. It is on for this year for the smaller boats. It'll be on next year for the larger boats, and we do expect hundreds of thousands of people to come to our city, and we have figured out with great plans that have been worked on by the event authority and our host committees, all of the different plans that we have to use properly our open space, our transportation lines, and make sure that we create all the venues that are positive. Well, I want you to know this, that the change in a little bit of the investment and the public discourse just is a very, I think, key reminder of how sensitive we have to be to this whole dialogue about investment, that it can go different ways. And the thing that I need to make sure we do at the Board of Supervisors and the Mayor's office and all of our departments, keep a strong foundation for economic growth in the city. Keep talking to audiences like you and others who can help us. Keep talking to our neighborhoods, making sure that dialogue understands that job creation is about strilled in misdirection. So I say to you that this whole theme today, prosperity together, sharing it, is consistent with what I've been saying throughout the city. We are the city for the 100%. We will work together. I will make sure the city's discourse is positive. We won't forget the foundation that provides us with economic growth. Let's move forward, and let's move forward together. Thank you very much.